ground. I take those stakes up high, with 1,000 pretty women waiting out there.
Go get them over
They're
there.
all living with the devil may care, and I'm just a devil with a love to spare. So viva Las Vegas, viva Las Vegas. Now I wish that there were more than 24 hours in the day, or even if there were 40 more, I wouldn't sleep a minute away. Like the puppets, the blackjack, poker, and the roulette wheel. A fortune won and lost on every deal. All you need is luck and lures of steel. Viva Las Vegas, viva Las Vegas, viva Las Vegas with your neon flash and your watermelon crashing. All those holes down the drain on. Viva Las Vegas turning, day in the night time turning, not in the daytime. If you see it once, you'll never be the same again. Gonna keep on running, gonna have me some fun. Cost me my very last dime. Till I wind up broke, well, I always remember that I had a swinging time. Well, I'm gonna give it everything I got. Look at your face. Let the dice stay high. Let me shoot a 7 with every shot. Viva Las Vegas, viva Las Vegas, viva Las Vegas. Come on, baby. Viva, viva Las Vegas.
So you do an song which is what's the name of the thing?
Elvis International.
Very cool. Is that actually still?
This is the official publication for Basement. Yeah, about 140,000 circulations.
It's probably the best magazine on Elvis there is. Professional magazine.
Oh, we think
Well,
so.
how old is she?
She'll be 2 and 2 weeks.
So you got the blessing of Priscilla,
She
right?
acts like she's 2 years old.
Well, it says we distribute 140,000.
You have to watch her on the pool.
But that's all over the world. You know, Europe,
So there's over like what,
Australia.
670 fan clubs
Yeah,
worldwide.
yeah.
Oh, and Elvis, yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah, they got, Graceland's got a whole list of them.
That's a good little book on Elvis.
Yeah.
This friend of mine put it out. It's got all the clippings of the the newspapers and
Right.
billboards and stuff.
I know, I'm
So
gonna,
what do you do for the magazine?
publisher and editor.
Oh, you're the publisher and editor. And how many employees?
Really just 2 that work in the office, and then lots of other people, you know, do articles and things.
Huh.
So they come from all over the
And
place.
where's your office?
In Westlake Village.
Hi, Glenn. Are you
Hi.
Where's that?
Hi, Glenn.
Hi.
Thousand Oaks. You know where Thousand Oaks is?
I don't.
Show us what we're seeing here.
Right, here's a picture of me and Elvis. This is Elvis. This is me. You know, already obsessed me on this picture. I've got a lot of friends, and I'll say, well, who's that with Elvis? Well, that's me. That's me. Don't you know me? That's me and Elvis in the 50s, about 1956. Elvis is reading the Los Angeles Times, and there's a movie magazine. Elvis used to like to look at the articles about him, and see on the couch, you can see a little picture of Elvis. Elvis had been reading that magazine.
And where was that?
This was taken at the Knickerbocker Hotel in Hollywood. That's
In
where,
Hollywood.
yeah, that's where Elvis first stayed when he came out here in California, and he started making those movies. He stayed at the Knickerbocker Hotel. He had the whole top floor. Then Scotty and DJ and Bill Black, they were about 2 floors down. They had one little room, and Elvis had the whole top floor. You could always tell when Elvis was home at the Knickerbocker because the lights would all be on upstairs, see? So you drive down and look upstairs at the top floor, and all the lights on. Elvis is up there.
Oh, wow. And what year was that again, Glenn?
1956.
1950. And he was doing what film at that time?
Oh, the movie he was making at this time, see his hair is black? Before that, his hair was lighter. He dyed his hair. This was Loving You. The movie Love, his second movie. He was making Loving You at this time when this picture was taken.
So that was right after Love Me Tender. Probably.
Yeah, right.
So what do you remember about working with him? You worked with him at what, on several shows or movies?
You know, I never worked with Elvis. I had my own thing going. I was doing Rockabilly. I never worked on shows. See, when Elvis got famous, he didn't have to have anybody else with him, just Elvis, and maybe a comedian or something. you know, the other rockabilly shows, like with Buddy Holly and the rest of the rockabillys, they had to have 3 or 4 artists, you know, in order to draw good crowds. You know, when Buddy Holly went down, it was 4 or 5 guys, you know, Richie Valens and the Big Bopper and stuff. Elvis was so big, he didn't need anybody, just Elvis. Just Elvis, and he you know, but I would go see him all the time, 'cause I knew the band real well. Bill Black used to come out to my house and stay with me and travel with me a little bit when I was doing shows, because he was making the movies with Elvis, and he didn't like being in Hollywood. He wanted to go back to Memphis, so he would come out here and stay with me.
Glenn, here you got the first appearance with Elvis.
Yes,
When he first came out to the West Coast?
These are probably the first pictures of Elvis. You won't see too many pictures of during this time of Elvis in California, anyway, because he played the San Diego Arena, and he played 2 shows down there. Then he did the Milton Berle show. The Milton Berle show was the 3rd show he did. After he played these concerts, he did the Milton Berle show, and he done these 2. And the next week he went to Hollywood for the screen test with Hal Wallace, and he auditioned for the screen test with blue suede shoes. and after that, you know, he made Love Me Tender. And it's real strange when these pictures were taken of Elvis. And Elvis had been playing down south, and the Maddox Brothers and Rose, I used to work with their country group, real famous in the 50s, the Maddox Brothers and Rose, and they were working the Louisiana Hayride with Elvis in Shreveport. And they were playing down south, you know, in Texas and different places. And Elvis was drawing 300 and 400 people, you know, in clubs and stuff. And so when he came to California, I said, well, let's go down to San Diego and see Elvis. He was playing the San Diego Arena. That was 5 or 6, 7,000 people. I said, he won't even pack that place, you know, because Elvis, you know, they didn't know Elvis out in California, but they did know him because he'd been doing the Dorsey show on television on Saturday night. And then Heartbreak Hotel, it just came out about 3 weeks before these pictures were taken. And Heartbreak Hotel nationally went to #1, just like boom, you know. And so we go down to San Diego and the place is packed. And so I go down, I say, I've never seen Elvis perform before, so I go down and Fred Maddox of the Maddox Brothers and Rose, the bass player, he knew Elvis real well. He was standing down front with the guards, see. And so I said, well, I want to see Elvis, but after the show, I want to come back and meet him, and I don't know if I can get back here. And he told the guard, let him in, would you? These 2 young, my guitar player and me, let him in. So we went back and watched Elvis perform. And man, when he performed in the 50s, it was, Elvis, he had a coat on, you know, a regular coat, and when he got done with the concert, it was just like he jumped in that swimming pool outside of his house there. And his sweat all over him. And I never seen him do this before. He went for about 10 or 15 minutes toward the end of the show, and he just sat there and he just jived. And Scotty and DJ stopped playing. I mean, DJ kept playing the drums, just the drums, and Scotty and Bill Black didn't play, just DJ and the drums. And Elvis was out there shaking, doing all of his little gyrations and stuff. And after the show, the girls surrounded the building, so they couldn't get him out. Everybody says it looks like me and Elvis is drugged out in that picture, but we're not. Looking out in space, you know. But you know, there's a lot in all the books you look of Elvis, you see a lot of pictures with Elvis shaking hands and stuff, but you don't see that much of a personal picture.
Right.
You don't see many pictures of Elvis in his hotel room, and kicking back and just sitting down there talking and acting like you're just like here, you know, you're at home with Elvis.
Why that? Why not? Would you not say?
He got too famous, I guess, and you know, Colonel Tom Parker wouldn't let you around Elvis
The
too
Colonel
much.
kept all the media away.
Yeah.
Unless it was posed.
Yeah,
He wouldn't
kept the
allow
media
it.
away.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let big stars even up to see Elvis. I got in mainly because Bill Black would always take me up, you know, and Elvis, and he would go right on in. And Gina's cousin, I think, it was always in there, and they would just let us in.
But he had no say at all.
He did.
Oh, Elvis could have put
He
his
always-
foot down, yeah.
But the Colonel was at that point felt it was the media should be controlled. And
Right.
so from 1956 on, when he signed the contract, it was very clear that he would control the media.
Yeah.
And I know
did.
Who was he?
the Colonel,
Colonel Tom Parker.
Colonel Tom Parker.
He was his right-hand man.
He was his
the manager.
manager.
Oh, the manager. Oh, okay.
He was Mr. Elvis Presley's.
We have a Frank Sinatra fan over here. She's too young, she said, for Elvis, so she's Frank Sinatra fan.
Well, you know, I like Frank Sinatra too. I love Frank Sinatra. I went out to the cemetery out there and saw his grave about me and the wife about a couple months ago.
You did?
Well, see, you know Tommy Sands.
Yeah.
Tommy's a real good friend of mine. He was married to Nancy, and so Frank was his uncle. And I see Tommy all the time, you
Is
know.
he still playing out here?
Tommy don't play very much anymore. I got him a gig over in England. He's going over there next month. He's playing a big festival over there, and I got him a gig over
You
there.
had him on your show at the Blues, House of Blues.
Well, you got a good memory. He was at the, well, he came as a guest. Yeah, I brought him on stage. Yeah, Tommy.
By the way, just for the media here.
Yeah, whatever they want.
This guy, well, I just want to let him know that Glen Glenn is in the Rockabilly Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And that's quite an achievement.
Wow. You know, I happen to know my friend Randy McNutt. He's in Ohio. We grew up.
Randy McNutt wrote a rockabilly book, and I'm in it. Yes, I know him. He's interviewed me. He wrote a rockabilly book, right?
Yes.
He's got a story about me in there.
He and I went to school together.
Oh yeah, Randy. Tell him I said hi, would you? I talked to him a long
He came out and
time.
visited me last year.
Well, he should have called me.
Yeah.
Randy's talked to me and interviewed me over the telephone and stuff, and he did a good article. He put a picture of me in there, and it's a rockabilly book. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've seen it. It's a good
Yeah,
book.
I got a copy of it.
It's got every rockabilly in there. He knows a lot about rockabilly, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's called One of Boogie. Is that the name of it? One of Boogie?
We want a boogie.
We Want a
a
Boogie,
boogie. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Now, is this for television or something, or just an interview?
Leonard is going to put. We've been shooting footage off. And
Oh, you're doing this for Leonard?
And Leonard's
Okay.
Leonard's going to use all this stuff for a documentary one day.
Oh, that'd be great.
And
Yeah.
We've been getting a lot of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you are really fascinating, Glenn. Tell me, what kind of person was Elvis outside of, say, outside of his stage persona?
He was just down to earth, just like you and me. Elvis was real friendly. He's a very nervous person, you know, but he was just down to earth. Being as big as he was, I met a lot of big performers in my time, you know, a lot of big performers, and they act like big performers. Elvis never acted like a big performer. He acted just like a normal person. Now, I'm not talking about the later Elvis, because I didn't see him in the later years, you know. Nobody did, okay? But,
How tall was he?
well, there's a picture of me and Elvis in here. He's a lot taller than I am.
Was he 6 foot?
He's over 6, I think. See, there's a picture of me and Elvis, and you can see that he's quite a bit taller than I am.
What
This
about
right
that
here.
kid over there? Was he as tall as him? He's 6'5".
No, he's taller than Elvis. I think Elvis was probably a 6'1" or 6'2".
Oh yeah, shorty.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he's short. So you're up with Will Chamberlain or that. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So, Glenn, so where are you from originally? Are you
I was born in Missouri, Joplin, Missouri.
sure?
Yeah. And I came out to California when I was 13. And I started in the music business in 1954. And Elvis started in 54 in Memphis. And I was living in the Los Angeles area, this area.
So
And
you're still in the music
Elvis,
business?
well, sort of. I still play. I'm in the Hall of Fame. And I did a show last Saturday in Vegas at the Gold
What
Coast.
kind of music?
Rockabilly. The 50s
What's
music.
rockabilly? Oh, the 50s. Yeah.
Rockabilly. It's like, you know, it's well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show.
Are you going to
Yeah.
sing? Are you going to do some of that for us?
Oh, I could. I don't have my band here. I feel funny without a band. I got there's a guitar over there. I don't know if he's got a CD here, Leonard. He could put
I'd
one.
love to hear one of your songs.
Well, maybe.
Forget about rock.
See if Leonard has a CD player. He could play my best song. I got all my best songs
Yeah?
on a CD. Yeah, and it'd sound better than me singing in person.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it.
Leonard, do you have a CD player here?
I'd like to hear some of his music.
He'd like to hear a couple. I don't know if you have a CD
don't
player.
have a CD.
Don't have a CD player.
No.
No.
No, what's wrong with you, Leonard?
We've been asking that question for years, Marie.
Still can't
Can't get the answer. You got the question, we can't get the answer. Can't you sing it by yourself, Glenn?
1 cup of coffee and a cigarette, waiting on the one I want to love and pet. It seems like a year since I seen her face, her sweet lips I can't wait to taste. Waiting on my baby, but she ain't here yet. 1 cup of coffee and a cigarette. That's one of my songs.
Pretty good.
And I had the first girl song in the 50s,
What was that?
a song called Lorianne.
Come on, let's
You know,
hear it.
in the 50s, everybody sung about girls. You knew, Buddy Holly had Peggy Sue, and Richie Valens had Donna, And I had a song called, I didn't sell as many records as they did, but I still recorded and had the first record out of the girls. Everybody was singing about girls. Dion had a couple on the girls, and everybody was singing
What year was that?
1958.
Do you know it? Can you sing it?
Oh, I sang it Saturday night, but I don't have a guitar.
Forget the guitar.
Hand me a guitar over there. I'll try it. Do you have a pick? Give me a pick and a guitar. I'm not a good guitar player.
No, I brought my guitar.
I call myself a singer, not a guitar player. I have a guitar player in my band. See, all I do is just play a little rhythm, you know.
There's one on the guitar, Glenn.
I'll try it.
Pick.
I'll do it for you, Leonard.
They need a pick. God, I'll tell you.
I'll play on Elvis's guitar here. I can play without a pick unless they have one.
Tell us what we're about to hear.
Do you have a pick?
Let's do this is a girl's song I recorded called Kathleen. It's a teenage girl song, and I was probably a teenager in those days, and this is the kind of songs you heard in the 50s. Kathleen, oh my baby's name is Kathleen. All the others think she's quite the thing. Loving Dolly Kathleen, Magazines, Cokes and candy make the perfect dream. Even in a pair of old blue jeans. Loving Dolly Kathleen. Jukebox playing baby, Bobby's socks or maybe. All these things and then some more. She's the one that I adore, Kathleen. Oh, my baby's name is Kathleen. Cokes and candy make the perfect dream. Loving Dolly Kathleen, Loving Dolly Kathleen, Loving Dolly Kathleen.
Wow. Sounds like an Irish song.
That's not a rockabilly. That was a teen ballad song. We did a lot of teen ballads in the 50s. Oh, that's I'll Take You Home Again, Kathleen. That's
Tell me
a,
about
yeah.
the bands that used to get together and the kids would dance on top of the big bass.
Yeah.
And that's a rockabilly band, am
They
I
still do
right?
that. I'm 65 years old now. Last Saturday night we played in Vegas, and they were all young teenagers. I mean, well, they must have been older than that. They must have been 21 or 22, but they dressed like the 50s. Rockabilly's getting well known again. Real famous.
I love that music of the 50s.
Yeah, and then the 50s
What
music.
was the name of the band that was here 3-4 years ago when we did this event? And now they're officially a Graceland band. And they're a bunch of young kids.
I don't know, Darwin, did he leave? He probably would know.
And
Yeah.
they dance on top of the fiddle and,
Yeah.
and all this stuff.
Yeah, they do that, yeah.
Yeah. You don't know the name of it.
I wasn't here, I don't know. There's so many rockabilly bands in LA alone. There must be 500 new. They're all young guys though.
Now, yeah.
They're all young, and they love rockabilly, yeah. But Elvis started rockabilly. That's the reason we're here. Elvis, we all wanted to be Elvis. Buddy Holly wanted to be Elvis, you know, and everybody.
I liked Elvis. Never really got into him, though. I remember loving his music and dancing to it.
No, this song I did up for you. I did it without the guitar. This One Cup of Coffee is in a 50s movie. It was on Showtime last year, and they show it quite a bit on television. And it's a 50s movie. You can even buy it in the video stores and
There's a lot
stuff.
of the 50s music now advertised on TV coming back.
Oh, it's big,
I bought
yeah.
some of it. I love it.
Oh, it sells a lot of records, 50s,
I
yeah.
think the 50s music is great.
Well, a 1 cup of coffee and a cigarette, waiting on the one I want to love and pet. It seems like a year since I've seen her face. Her sweet lips I can't wait to taste. Waiting on my baby, but she ain't here yet. 1 cup of coffee and a cigarette, waiting on the one I want to love and pet. It seems like the year I want to pet. I feel funny without my band. Just me and the guitar, you know.
Excellent. Really good.
See, just when I'm playing on stage, I don't usually play. I have a guitar around my neck, but sometimes I work with a microphone and stuff, and I just let my guys do the picking and stuff. Listen, I'll tell you what. I'll sing you an Elvis song. I could do this better with a pick.
Yeah, I mean,
This is probably the first song that got me interested into doing Elvis Presley's music. This is before he had all the big hit records, Heartbreak Hotel and all. This is one of the early Sun records that Elvis did. And Elvis would come on and say, I want to do the song for you. I'm Elvis Presley and I'm going to do this for my mother. Oh baby, 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 baby. Baby, 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 come back, baby, I won't play out with you. Why, you may go to college, you may go to school, you may have a pink Cadillac, but don't you be nobody's fool. Well, come back, baby, come back, baby, come back, baby, I won't play out with you. Baby, 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 baby. Baby, 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 come back, baby, I won't play out with you. Well,
Excellent, excellent.
well, thank you. Oh, I don't. I didn't bring no. I just a guitar here. This is a good guitar here. Guitar's better than I am. Yeah.
What's the major difference, Glenn, between music back then, the way they were creating music, as compared to today?
You mean in the rockabilly? You were just talking rockabilly, or what kind of music?
Music in general, and rock and roll especially.
Well, you mean most rock and roll, not country? I'm a country singer too, you know, mostly.
Like so much of that stuff is more creative than what I hear today.
Well, now they use a lot of. In those days, you had to sing halfway good, and the band had to play halfway good because you didn't have all the equipment you got today. Yeah. Now you could take a person that don't even sing. And you could make him sound good because you got all that equipment and all that fun, you know, that you didn't have
maybe
in the.
I should take that up, huh?
In the 50s, we only had one track, you know what that is, on a recorder, so we had to make it right. So we had to do it many, many times so we get the right one. Now, they can just do one track, and if they don't like what you did, they can put it on another track, and they got so much stuff to work with today. But to me, the music don't sound today like it did in the 50s. The kind of music we did, it didn't. And I know country music don't sound like the country music. I'm an old country music fan. I like the old country music, Ray Price and Ernest Tubb and Letty Frizzell and those guys. And this new country, to me, sounds more like it's sort of like rock and roll, you know, and it's not.
That's true, yeah.
Now, if I do a rockabilly song, I try to do rockabilly. If I do country, I do country. I do a few country songs in my show, too. I mostly do rockabilly, and about halfway through it, I'll throw in a country song, you know, I mean a tear-jerking type country song, I always call it. Beer-drinking, tear-jerking country song. Like George Jones, you know. I could do one of those for you. Now, everybody calls me a rockabilly singer, but I also do a lot of country. I don't sell many records under country, but... You're cheating again like you've done before. You found a new love who you say you adore. Though your love I've lost, life goes on anyhow. But what difference would it make 100 years from now? Oh, 100 years from now, we'll be in another world. What difference would it make if somebody lost his girl? If I lose you tomorrow, or if I lose you now, what difference would it make 100 years from now? What difference would it make 100 years from now? That's the song I wrote. I also write a lot of songs.
Oh, I like that.
That's got a good story behind it. It's the story about, see, he's in love with this girl, see, and she left him, right?
Yeah.
So he starts thinking, what difference will it make 100 years? What difference 100 years from now won't make any difference, you know? It'll be a different world, and I miss her so much now, but 100 years from now, you know, What difference will it make 100 years from now? You know?
That hits the heart.
Yeah. I started out being a country singer, and when Elvis came along, and he had all the girls.
What happened to you? Did you not have?
I had all the girls, but not as many as he did. Everybody wanted to be like Elvis. You know why all the singers like Buddy Holly and Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran and all the big rockers, Rockabilly, you know why they wanted to be like Elvis? Because of the girls. Because of the girls.
Because he wasn't that good looking, was he?
Well, I thought he was nice enough.
Oh, yes,
What do you mean he ain't good looking? Elvis Presley. I always try to get a lip like. I don't think anybody can get that lip like Elvis. Ricky Nelson used to try it. Remember? Ricky wanted to look like Elvis, but he never could get that snur that he had.
Yeah.
I don't even know if these impersonators can
His eyes was
get that
right
snur.
He had those wonderful eyes.
They don't have that little lip thing he had. You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know it's the lip. It's the eyes that I like.
I'm too old now to jiggle. Elvis was here. He couldn't do no gyration. Neither can I. But when Elvis was young, I'd try to do a little of that too, you know. And I used to come out. Elvis used to walk real funny, you know. Elvis would come on stage. He'd walk like this. And he'd stand there like this, and he'd always start pulling his pants up.
Yeah, he always had that movement. Yeah.
He like this. And then when he started performing, I used to say he had a left leg that was rubber. Because I could never do that. When I was a young kid, I was trying to be like Elvis, you know. Not trying to impersonate him or anything, but I was trying to sing Rockabilly, and I wanted to have some of his stage appearance. And so he would take his left leg, and I can't do it.
Twist it around.
Well, it'd just go around like this, and you think it would be. I thought, man, he's double jointed, or I call him rubber legs, because he never do it with the right, always the left. He would just take it and boom, 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 boom. And DJ Fontana be on the drums, and he just go.
He was just very flexible.
We all tried to copy Elvis. I don't feel bad that said I tried to do it. Buddy Holly, look, he's pretty well known. Everybody in the world knows Buddy Holly. And he wanted to be Elvis. And Eddie Cochran with Summertime Blues wanted to be Elvis. Gene Vincent wanted to be Elvis with Bebop and Lula, because Elvis was the one, you know.
Well, he came in at a good time.
Yeah.
All those 18 to 25-year-olds.
But we weren't as good, like you said. You don't. Well, I don't think we were as good looking as Elvis. You know, Buddy Holly wasn't the best looking person in the world. He wore those little glasses, you know, and he wasn't a sex symbol. And I don't think Gene Vincent was real good looking. You know, Bebop. I don't think he was. He was nice looking. But Elvis just had that something special. Everything he did was. He never copied anything. Everything was Elvis. He combed his hair a certain way. You know, he started the DuckTales. He started everything there was about the 50s was Elvis. Happy Days, everything. Everybody wanted to be Elvis, you know.
Tell me about his wife. Was he?
I didn't know Priscilla that well. No, I didn't. You know, once Elvis, I went in the Army the same time Elvis did, and then Elvis went to Germany. I went to Hawaii, and that's where I did this show in Hawaii with the Everly Brothers and Bobby Day and a lot of big stars on that show. The Four Prep, remember, 26 miles across the sea.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Sunny Catalina.
Everly Brothers?
The Everly Brothers, remember? Bye Bye Love.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had that tape.
So I went over to Hawaii, and Elvis went to Germany. Then when Elvis got back from Germany, you know, he didn't play for about 12 or 13 years. You know, he didn't do no shows.
Oh, he didn't?
He started making those movies, and then I could have probably seen Elvis. I know I could have seen him, but I just didn't go and see him, mainly because, not knocking the Memphis Mafia, but they were controlling Elvis too, like Colonel Tom Parker, and you had to go through people to see Elvis, and I didn't figure I should have to go through anybody. If you're my friend, I should be able to see, but I couldn't get to Elvis, and I remember DJ Fontana and Scotty Moore didn't see Elvis in the last days neither, and that was his band.
Really? And he had no say in that?
Oh, he did, but he didn't know I was there. We saw him in Vegas once, me and Mary, and we tried to get downstage to see Elvis. I had a picture in my billfold of Elvis, and they wouldn't let us downstage. And I was going to, if I could have got it to Elvis, we would have probably got backstage at the Hilton and seen Elvis. Yeah. So in the later days, I don't know if I'd want to see Elvis too much, you know. His best friends didn't see him. A lot of his best friends didn't see him,
Well,
you
he
know.
kind of isolated himself.
He isolated, like Bob Dylan does, you know.
And
Dylan's
he
a
was
lot like
on
that.
drugs, wasn't he, heavily? By that time?
Well,
Nobody knows.
nobody knows. I presume that he was taking pretty heavily drugs.
Yeah. Is nobody died?
Peter
Is
Grelnick.
nobody died from?
No.
I don't know what, he had a heart attack, but if you want to know about Elvis, the best thing to do is buy the Peter Grelnick book. He's got two of them. He's got one called Last Train to Memphis, and what's the second issue of
Elvis Day by Day.
Elvis Day?
No.
Oh, that's a new book. He got Elvis Day by Day. Peter, I'm in the book also. That's a good book to buy on Elvis, The Last Train to Memphis. I have, look under the index, Glen Glenn, and I got some stories in there on that Peter, but Peter interviewed everybody that knew Elvis. And Scotty Moore, which don't even hardly give interviews, the guitar player of Elvis, he did an interview with Peter. Peter's such a nice guy. And one of the greatest writers you ever seen was Peter Grelnick, and you can get them in any bookstore. Because The Last Train to Memphis is probably one of the best-selling books there was. It's in the top 10 for a long time.
What was the second volume called?
Careless Love, right. Careless Love is the second volume. That's after the Army. The first book goes to, he went in the Army, and the second book goes after the Army. But
Glenn, is there any other tunes you could do for us that we maybe something we never heard before? Or something that stands
I could
out?
probably do some of my songs. They've never been heard before.
Do something. Do one for us. You do excellent at it. I enjoy hearing it.
I got a few songs that I sang, and that some of the big artists. I got a song called "Everybody's Moving" that Bob Dylan recorded, and Bruce. I'm talking about big guys, Bruce Springsteen and Tom Petty. And those guys sang that song, and that's one of mine. But that's hard to do on the guitar. Let's see. Unless I got a band. Why, you can be my lovin' baby, you ain't got the style. Gonna get some real gone love that'll drive a cool cat wild. We're gonna move on down the line. We're gonna do right all the time. I'm gonna show you you're not so hot. Gonna get what she ain't got. She'll be sweet, won't do me wrong. She'll be cool and twice as gonna move on down the line. We're gonna do right all the time. We're gonna move on down the line. They're gonna get some lovin' that's truly fine. She'll be sweet, won't do me wrong. She'll be cool and twice as gonna move on down the line. We're gonna do right all the time. We're gonna do right all the time. We're gonna do right all the time.
Very nice.
Excellent.
Very good.
Thank you. I sound better than this. I should have. If I knew longer, Leonard, I'd have brought over a little band here for you today. Maybe next year I'll bring you a slapping bass. You know, the big bass. That's what we play.
I like that.
And I bring my guitar player's been with me for 45 years. Bring him over here and let you do a little Rockabilly festival for you. I feel comfortable.
We could even do some dancing out there, huh?
Hey, you could really, if I had my band here, you could do a lot of dancing. Yeah. A lot of rocking.
We gotta do that next year.
Yeah.
Hey, put that together
Yeah.
now.
What do you think of the house, Glenn? What do you? This is your first time at
This is my house, yeah. The first time at this house.
at this house, and
Yeah.
do you feel Elvis is still with us some way? You feel the spirit here at all? It's
I feel good being here, man. I tell you, I feel that Elvis' spirit's right here, man. Right here in this house. I feel proud that Leonard invited me up here to be in this house. That's the reason I want to be here. I love Elvis so much, you know, because to be here, he was in that swimming pool, and I presume upstairs there in that bedroom, and Priscilla went to bed up there, you know, and then it was their honeymoon and everything. So, you know, Elvis was here, you know, and Elvis didn't go a lot of places. He stayed at Graceland all the time. You know, the last years of his life, he spent them all in that bedroom upstairs. Sometimes he'd go 30 days, and they had to take food up to him, you know. He didn't even come down.
It's a lot of time in bed.
Well, he had that new girlfriend he had, you know. He did. He had a young girlfriend, Ginger. Ginger was up there with him, so maybe
What happened to, what's her name? Blue?
Linda Thompson?
No, the wife.
Well,
Wasn't it?
She wasn't the wife.
Oh, she was gone by then.
oh, Priscilla was gone.
Oh, she was, they were
Oh, yeah, they
divorced.
divorced, yeah.
What happened to that marriage, do you know?
Well, you know, all I know is what I read on that, because I didn't know after the Army days.
They were married.
I still did my
5
shows and
years,
stuff,
that's why they were
yeah.
married, right? 4?
About 5 years, I believe, yeah. But of course, you know, he had her for a long time. He got her when she was 13 years old and brought her over from Germany, and he made her what he wanted her to. You know, Elvis. You know, her hair. She's a pretty girl. She's still pretty for her age. Priscilla is beautiful.
Yeah.
Elvis picked her out. I'll tell you what Elvis would do in Vegas. You know, when he'd play Vegas, he'd tell the guys. He would pick someone out in the audience. He'd say, "I want to see that girl out there."
Really?
He'd tell them, the guys, the Memphis and Mafia guys, and they'd go out and tell them, and they'd say, "You know, Elvis would like to see you." A lot of them didn't believe him. You don't even know Elvis. And they would take Elvis backstage and meet Elvis, and you'd freak out, you know. Even the president enjoyed meeting Elvis. Richard Nixon. He said, "Everybody want to meet Elvis. Everybody want to meet Elvis, you know." Let me put this on film. Elvis Presley is no doubt, I think everybody, is the most famous person in the world. There's nobody more famous than Elvis Presley. Not the president, not the kings. I can go in foreign countries that a lot of people probably don't even know Clinton. And I'm serious. I've been playing countries that they don't know Clinton.
I don't know.
But they know Elvis. You can't get away, no matter what country. I played in many countries. I played in Spain. I played in Sweden. I played in France. I played in England. Everywhere I go, I see Elvis's picture everywhere. Nowhere where you go, and you hear his music everywhere. People talking about Elvis. He's the most famous person to ever live. No one will ever be like Elvis as far as. No movie star, no singer, no politician. There's only one Elvis. Now, this house is going to be famous too once Leonard gets people coming in here to see it, because Graceland, Elvis has only been dead 23 years. Now, I'm telling you facts. Elvis Presley's home in Graceland has been visited by more in 23 years. The White House is number one, right? But the White House has been there many years, a couple hundred years. Elvis's Graceland's only been open for, well, it wasn't even open for the first 5 years, right? It's only been open about 18 years, probably. It's the second most visited home in the United States. Elvis's grave, which is at Graceland, has been visited more than anybody's grave, except for, even more than George Washington's grave, and George has been dead for over 200 years at Mount Vernon. And more people visits Elvis's grave. There's over 3,000 or 4,000 people a day goes to Graceland to see Graceland, and also I think mostly they want to see his grave. Now, I love Frank Sinatra because I love him. I grew up, before Elvis, I loved the old Frank Sinatra stuff. I've been to Frank's, I love Frank Sinatra, and I've been to his grave here in Palm Springs, and me and Mary, my wife, went out there, and we were the only ones there. We took some pictures, and there's nobody there. And there was a little bottle of Jack Daniels on his grave. There was a little bottle of Jack Daniels on his grave. Then I thought I said, "Frank, you are one of the greatest. There's no legend like you, Sinatra." Then I thought, well, wait a minute. Just me and my wife are here today at your grave, and if I was in Graceland, there'd be 3,000 people at Elvis's grave. Now, they talk about Marilyn Monroe. I've been to Marilyn's grave many times down there in Westwood, the Westwood Cemetery, and most time I go down there, there's not maybe one or two people, and sometimes there's nobody at Marilyn's grave in Westwood. But Elvis, there's someone right there right now. Right now in Graceland, there's people walking around Elvis's grave. There's nobody bigger than Elvis. And Elvis was just a little country boy from Tupelo, Mississippi. He didn't have a big education. He was not no doctor. He was not no lawyer. He was just Elvis Presley, just down to earth. But he had the voice, and he had the entertainment and the singing. And that's what I feel about Elvis Presley. And about Leonard keeping this house for people to see. He's left now. Yeah, I think it's wonderful. It lets people come up here and see it and visit a part of Elvis Presley up here. I think it's great.